Okay. Hi everybody to the week 2 to 3 Masthead Showcase, 20th of Jan, 2016. So yeah, I'll start the presentation on screen share. So any questions while this is going on, feel free to ask them in any of the Masthead channels, but for this, most appropriate will be Masthead Showcase.
If you can hold questions to the end, that would be really advantageous because, yeah, we're engineers, we're not great at this.
Okay, so this week we have done some more investigation. We have investigated CMS integration in banners. That is kind of the current version of those, and how do we need to maintain parity, etc. The hierarchical data structure, and a bit of reasoning why, and other kind of investigation about what different types of data structure we could use, and primary level navigation as a UI piece. So CMS integration, if you want to read more about it, there's a wiki page link at the bottom. The current CMS is not really fit for purpose. Basically, it's quite bloated. It doesn't have all the fields needed for the new way of integrating against it, given the kind of in the current world, a consumer only has to specify what area they are on within the Sky.com estate. Because of the nature of this setup, this kind of circumstantial second level nav, that depends entirely on how nested you are within the Sky.com estate. You require consumers need to send additional data for their appropriate HTML, which the current CMS does not compensate for, really. The outcome is that we're kind of going to investigate creation of a new minimal CMS for banners and the masthead as well, possibly utilizing tools out there that already exist to reduce the amount of work we need. As I mentioned, there's a wiki page that documents this fully. It's on the Thunderhead GitHub repo. A link to that repository will be at the end of this slide, this presentation. So the other investigation is banners. So if you're not aware, these banners appear just above the masthead on many sites. Probably one you've seen most commonly is the cookies notice, if you've ever kind of gone to the website for the first time. There are 3 types of banners. The default, as we call them, which is the unsupported browser, the cookies that can typically appear anywhere on the website, anywhere on the Sky.com estate. There are CMS banners. That is one where a good example of this is services out in a particular area. So there's a man named Bridge running CMS who can, at a moment's notice, kind of set a banner to appear on particular areas of the site. We need to retain parity for that for the time being, because there's no other kind of notifications for MVP. And then there is custom, which is where a consumer can create their own banners on the fly. A good example of this is a sign-in banner on the prospect homepage, which encourages you to sign in if you are an existing customer, which is done in the code for the prospect homepage, calling functionality which the masthead exposes. The outcome of this investigation is that we're going to maintain this functionality, but simplify how it is done. Right now, each of those types has its own integration. We're going to kind of take all that data and funnel it into one source of creation for banners. The reason behind this is that at some point we want to move banners out of Masthead into a separate kind of component, because they don't intrinsically have to be linked at all. Again, wiki page with full details below. And so the hierarchical data structure. So initially we investigated kind of a flat data structure where a consumer would pass in as part of getting the HTML for their masthead, which exact navigation, 2 levels of navigation they would need. So for us in Find and Watch, it would be, we would say, okay, our primary navigation is watch, and our secondary level navigation could be a channel, for example, if we're on that channel. The advantage of this, and what that will power, with saying to watch would give us the active state on watch, and especially from on Sky 1, would actually indicate which secondary level navigation we would need to use. This ultimately became quite confusing when I passed it by a couple of my colleagues, in that you're essentially having to do a lot of masthead business logic in terms of, okay, if you're at the bottom of your navigational structure, you should render the siblings of your current page, whereas if you're in the middle, you should render the children of that, and that could get quite confusing. So we've decided to go back to a more standard hierarchical data structure. This will still mean a slightly different integration than the current masthead, because as of today, you only specify what area you're in, so help, homepage, watch, shop, etc. You will actually need to specify how deep you are within that. So for us, if we were on Sky 1, rather than specify watch, we would actually have to specify Sky 1. This has already changed once. Comments welcomed again at sale stage, while we can still make changes to this really simple and quite easy.
So we broke down the development of the actual DOM structure and the design and layout GUI for the new masthead into kind of subsections. Started with the primary level of the navigation, which is going to be the Sky logo, the links on the left, and the actions on the right. So yeah, I split them into two different types in my head, because some are actions, some are definitely just links. We've been trying to roll in accessibility from the get-go. There's a link in the slides here to a work-in-progress prototype. This will constantly be updated as new features make it into master. At the moment, we have mobile designs. I spent an illuminating amount of time this morning looking through and working out exactly how I was going to tab through different elements. What would then have to be the tab index, what would have to be the ARIA attributes for every single one of these, so that someone essentially running blind would be able to use it. It does work with styles turned off, but I have a feeling that that is going to be such a small subset of people that we may actually have to roll it out and throw it in a slightly different way. We are still, I'm still aiming for the highest possible level of accessibility. I want someone to be able to come and use this site and know exactly what's going on. So as you can see, this is why I broke it down into the two kind of sections. We have links, which are at the top, which take us to sections of the site. We have actions at the bottom, which have some icons with them and could theoretically do more. So I think search is the one I'm working on at the moment. So when you click that, you actually get a different experience, and the search box starts to come out, and you're able to interact more. I believe the same will eventually be true for email, sign-in, and basket, but for the time being, they are just going to be links. As I've said, this is, if you look at it on a desktop, it's going to look mad. That's because there's no media queries written in for desktop at all yet. I'm going to get it solid as a rock on mobile, and then I'm going to move on to desktop. The DOM structure is as simple as I can make it. There are a lot of attributes on several of the items, but they are all to do with accessibility, and they are all needed. There is nothing in this DOM structure yet that isn't necessary, and that's the way that I would like to keep it for the time, well, forever. But that's not necessarily up to me. That's the end of my slide. So we had some questions for you guys, that people are actually interested and invested in the masthead. Jordan?
Yeah, so these are kind of like, when going through kind of the creation of the new masthead, we had to make some design decisions. Now, these, I mean, ultimately we want to know what your opinions are on these from a technical standpoint, because I mean, they will impact you when you come to consume the masthead. And the earlier you get your input, perhaps you've foreseen something we haven't, or have some good ideas about how we can go forward. Yeah, just ask us anywhere, be it GitHub, Slack, wherever, more than welcome. Even in person if you're currently down in London, or next week when we'll be in Leeds. So first question is, how do you want to consume static assets? So in the current Masthead, you get HTML fragments, which then have internally have links like scripts, source tag with the source tag pointing to the CD end asset, versus a direct link straight to that asset in its raw file type. So you get a JavaScript link there. Currently, we add a direct link to CDN purely because it reduces the amount of side effects that could be perhaps in that HTML fragment. You know exactly what you're getting when you consume that. Same for CSS as well. Dynamic HTML obviously has the HTML fragment. And do you foresee any issues with the consumption of the HTML? So as I mentioned in the hierarchical data structure, currently you only pass your top level area to the masthead, i.e. find and watch shop, etc. Due to the change in user experience and what actually appears, we can maintain parity with that kind of consumption without introducing fragility elsewhere. So we've had to pass exactly where you are in your navigational structure. So for us in Find and Watch, it could be we're on the channel page for Sky One. For Shop, it could be we're in TV bundles, or help could be the slow broadband area. And we have this the tree structure of Sky.com, and we can navigate around this to find if you're in help slow broadband, we can work up and see your help. So your active state in the primary level navigation will be help, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I mean I've run that by a few people and they seem fine, but again, it's quite a decision we've made. So I really want comments and criticism on this. And are there any alternatives? As I mentioned, I tried flat structure first, but from it does seem that would actually require a lot more business logic on the consumer's end than feels appropriate.
So any questions that you might have, we will always try and get back to you as quickly as possible. The main Slack channel for this kind of conversation at the moment is Thunderhead. We'll also have our eyes on Masthead Showcase. Anything that you feel that we're not doing right, anything you want to talk about. Literally, we would much rather engage with people and start talking about these things rather than people bottle it up inside or take it up the line to someone. Just talk to us. If you've had concerns, we've probably had the same concerns and talked it out for a while. So yeah, let's start talking. Anyone that's out there that has a big leaning on where they're coming down on this. Yeah. I think I actually took out the slide for what we're doing next. But so this week, what we should talk about that. We're currently running some user testing up in Covent Garden with actual real life people. So we'll be able to talk about that. Hopefully we'll have the primary level of navigation in a desktop kind of feel. Definitely have at least a nailed down mobile version as far as I'm concerned, unless I hit a major impediment. And we will also be heading up to Leeds on the Tuesday for a catch up with all the guys up there and what's happening around that. So this next showcase will be broadcast from the glorious north.
Yeah. And that's and that in lines with a task we've got to discuss integration across Sky.com as well. And I believe next up is the implementation of banners, or the start in that, and then the next priority after that, I believe, is secondary level navigation and the full search integration with the auto suggest, etc.
Which may alter depending on how the user testing goes.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is why, another reason why we laid it off and postponed it. Didn't go for it all in one big bang.
Yeah. Happy to answer any questions from the people currently in the stream on the Hangouts right now.
yeah, I think apart from that, I think we're done. Thank you, everyone. It's been a blast, and we'll see you next week. Good luck.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.